It is just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Rand Schulman, CEO and chairman of DMscore and co-founder of the Digital Analytics Association. He's a pioneer in digital analytics and is a serial entrepreneur, leading several IPOs and exit. He's the founder and CEO of first SaaS-based web analytics company Keylime, acquired by Yahoo, and was CMO of analytics company WebSideStory through its IPO, now Adobe Analytics. Rand is also a co-founder of Digital Analytics Association and teaches graduate analytics at well-known universities. He graduated from University of the Pacific. DMscore, headquartered in Palo Alto, California, is a marketplace for buyers and sellers of digital marketing services, anchored around a numeric DM score. His patent-pending artificial intelligence technology measures and ranks hundreds of online marketing factors to provide a single, intuitive score that measures the success of marketing efforts by industry sector at a hyper-local level. Ongoing tracking tools and their marketplace of best-in-class service providers empowers professionals across industries to grow their business by attracting more and better clients online. I asked him to be on the show. He did not ask me, and it was all because of a post on Dental Town underneath marketing. It says, DMscore national study of 54,000 dental practices finds 1/3 of dental practices today not found in local search results. So I read that and I thought, okay, that is crazy. So it says 1/3 of dental practices today not found in local search result. But anyway, and that's how, that's why I asked you to be on the show. So Rand, thank you so much for coming on the show today. If you were here, even though if you were here, I'm not supposed to shake your hand. I can't even give you a high five because of COVID. Before we start today, you've been around the block 3 or 4 times. What do you make of this COVID virus? And I want you to talk to the kids. It's March 23rd. In 2 months, 6,000 25-year-olds are going to graduate from America's dental schools, and quite frankly, they're scared shitless. What are your thoughts? What would you be telling your daughter if she was 25 and graduating from dental school in 2 months?
That's a good open, by the way, Howard. And you can cash my check now. Not to make light of a difficult situation. We obviously didn't plan this. What would I tell my son or daughter right now upon graduating dental school? I would tell them that they have to focus on their business. They have all of the skills to focus on patients for sure, but dental schools these days don't address the focusing on a business. If you don't have a business, what's the sound of a tree falling in the woods? So what we do is I would tell them to, again, focus on the business. And one of the first things that they have to do is decide whether or not they're going to be working for a DSO or whether or not they're going to work for themselves. Now, with respect to your question and the timeliness of what we're talking about, the practices, we know that a significant amount of practices are shutting down right now for all the right reasons. And I think everybody listening would agree to that. But now is a good time that people could start focusing on their business. And what you need to do is understand not only patient satisfaction, but patient acquisition. How do you find your patients? And coming up right now, because of this realignment in the business, there's an excellent opportunity to refocus on that business and understand, do I want to get a paycheck as a dentist, or do I want to create a viable public or a private practice? So I think if it's the latter, to create a viable public private practice, you're going to have to compete, and there's going to be an excellent opportunity for you right now to compete because everybody's going to be competing. There's a retrenchment going on. So the very first thing that I would do is I would check out your DMscore. DMscore stands for Digital Marketing Score. Just go to our site, DMscore.com. I'm going to explain to you what the DMscore is, but go there, check out your score. Thank you, Howard, for my introduction. As you know, I've been around the block, 2 or 3 times. And what I have done is I'm a quantitative person, and I like to put ultimately numbers to words, and that's where this whole concept of web analytics and digital analytics came from. As you know, and I know, you've taken your statistics classes. You guys hate statistics. I love statistics, but you guys hate statistics. One of the things that we use is trying to understand the numbers to make those numbers easy. And we created a series of products, and some of my products went public. You may know a product called Google Analytics or Adobe Analytics. And if you go in there and you try to use Google Analytics, the very first thing you or your staff is going to do is you're going to get confused. It's going to be hard for you to figure out what to do. So in the last 4 or 5 years, it's been this company's mission to create an analytics product for dentists and white-collar professionals, doctors, lawyers, veterinarians, optometrists, to basically show what your digital marketing score is, your digital footprint in a local area as measured against your competitor over time. So we use a histogram function. Your DM score goes up like your FICO score and down like your FICO score. Let's hope your FICO score doesn't go down, but it only goes up. That it goes up and it goes down relative to the competitor across the street. So our score, the DM score, and your score measures it measures your footprint at the local level in 3-4 key areas. Is this okay? Am I doing okay?
Matt,
Howard?
you're doing great. You're doing great. I'm learning a lot and taking a lot of notes.
Oh, okay. I thought you were Facebooking. Well, no.
No,
You might be. We aggregate these 3 or 4 big baskets of your digital presence out there. And they include, how am I doing in paid search? Did I buy the right kinds of ads? How am I doing in organic search, in content and SEO? How am I doing in the directories, Yelp, Yext, the various directories? And then how is my website doing? So we take all of those factors together, and over these years, we've been able to create algorithms to weigh those factors relative to all the competition across the street. And now we have a huge database with literally billions of factors in there, and we're able to score you on a regularized basis. Every 2 weeks, your score changes, and it changes relative to the person across the street. Now, it's not one and done. You don't have a score. Again, like a FICO score, you don't have a score and it stays the score. You have to compete with that, with your practice and the score against the competitors up and down the street, down the block, in your town, in your community. And so you have to be posting relevant content all the time. You have to be mixing that content with some acquisition, some digital advertising. This is, by the way, all digital. This is not offline. This is not bus stop ads, late night ads. This is digital stuff. Directories. And now to loop back to what Howard was just talking about, it's surprising and not surprising. I mean, you guys want to be dentists and you want to be with your patients and you want to practice the art and science of dentistry. I get it. But there's also the business. So our study that was released about a month ago has found that, as Howard said, that on a local basis, a huge percent of dentists don't appear greater than the 20th position on a search engine. I think you know what that means. So above the fold is the top 5 positions, and then so on and so forth. So that if you're competing in the local market, you need to make sure that you're above the fold. And you can do that by doing all of those kinds of things that we talked about. And then that will increase your score or change your score. Now, I would again remind you, DMscore.com. It should show you exactly what to do. You'll be able to figure out. And then what we do, very much like Zillow or HomeLight or any of the other kind of digital companies, we don't fix your problem. We just give you a number. We can recommend to you if you're not going to fix it yourself and do the various things you need to do, if you're not going to do that, then we can recommend to you agencies who will do that. Now, those agencies have passed our vetting, and they've passed our quantitative vetting. It's not a qualitative, extrapolated kind of research. It's let's see who your customers are. Let's see who the customers being the practices. Let's see who they are. Let's see what their scores are. And now we can recommend to you certain agencies if you don't want to fix it yourself, and you probably don't. If you don't want to fix it, we can recommend to you those agencies. So, Howard, is that fairly understandable?
Yeah, I'm
so far?
trying to find the thread real quick. A lot of people are wondering if they have scheduled marketing and advertising, but they're supposed to be closed for a couple months. Do you still run your advertising, or do you cancel that until we resume working?
That's a good question. And it's one that I've just started thinking about. You know, unfortunately, the last 72 or so hours, does one stop? I think what you should, if you're listening to this podcast, I think what you should do first is get your DM score. Just get a notion of what that is.
How do they get their DM score?
Just go to DMscore.com site. And it will query you to go through.
Okay, I'm at get.dmscore.com.
Yes.
Okay, and then you would go, and then you click for dentist.
There you go.
Okay, and then you put in your website.
Yeah, let's put in Western Dental in there, for example, because I'm going to go there next. The DSOs.
They're in the newspaper today. They just closed down.
Western Dental just closed down?
Well, they're not seeing patients. They're in California.
Oh.
Yeah. So you're in Palo Alto right now, right?
Yeah, the office is in Palo Alto. Well, I'm physically home.
Right, but I mean, is California under quarantine? I mean,
my God. You're in Arizona.
Phoenix, Arizona, yeah.
Right. I was just visiting my brother there with the last show, the dental show. I can't remember the name of the show. It was great. This is not a good time for us or for anybody. And I understand. Yeah, we are currently, what do they call it? Something in place, shelter in place. We're not allowed to leave our homes except for buying groceries right now. And they just closed down I live in Marin County, which is the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Right.
And they've just closed down all the national and state parks a few hours ago in Marin County. So it's tough right now. But back to your question.
So you take the Dumbarton Bridge, right?
No, I take the Golden Gate Bridge.
So there's the Dumbarton Bridge. There's
just look at the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah.
And the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge is Sausalito.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I'm in Tiburon, real close to Sausalito.
And you went to UAP there, right?
Yeah.
Greatest dental school in the world. How come when you were at UAP you didn't become a dentist?
Because half of my family are dentists.
First of all, do you think how long do you think this is going to last for the dentists in California? I mean, they can't see any patients unless it's an emergency. And most of my patients that are having an emergency, I say, what is the emergency? And they say, well, I'm home quarantined with my family. I'd rather be having a tooth pulled without anesthetic. And so we're just pulling them dry, you know, no numbing or nothing. But how long do you think they're going to be home quarantined?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I have been thinking about that. First of all, let's start the other end of the deal. This is going to be over with. I mean, at some point, or we're all in a lot of trouble. Number one. Number two, you know, we all get the same news. I don't think it's as you know, I hope we don't get it, but it's not Ebola. Number two. Number three, since I'm a data guy, you know, and the tests have just rolled out in larger numbers, we can start modeling the results of those tests. And so to answer that question, I think we're going to have enough large data sets that within 2 or 3 weeks, we'll be able to model and firmly answer the question about when is this going to end. And I don't think anybody can answer the question, when is it going to end? You guys are all probably more qualified to answer that question. You know, people are talking about the summer season and this and that and the next thing that it may end. But as a data guy and as a statistics person, and by the way, our board directors include the chief analytics officer of FICO. You guys all know FICO. So we're a numbers-based company, and I like to let the data and the numbers drive the observation of those and understanding of those through appropriate testing. I like to let that drive the answers to my question. So I really can't, in all fairness, answer your question.
So if they go to get.dmscore.com, there's a button there for dental. You go to dental, it says enter your website. I entered my dental office website, Today's Dental. It said 21 out of 100.
Well, okay. So what? Show me.
But you said you wanted me to put in Western Dental.
No. Put in. Let's go to it's yours.
Okay.
Let's go to yours. Let's understand yours.
Okay.
And who are your competitors?
Does it say?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Top 10 competitors in Phoenix, Arizona. Number 1, Aspen Dental. Okay. And we just had the CEO of Aspen on the show, Bob Fontana. So I will delete that podcast right after this show. The next was Clear Choice Dental Implant Center, and we've had the founder of that on the show. Number 3 is Harris Dental.
Are they all going? Howard, are they all going?
4 is E&S Orthodontics, then Biltmore Dental Care, then Arizona Biltmore Dentistry, Premier Orthodontics. But anyway, yeah, so I'm...
okay, and then you can drill down in each of those, and you can see your performance over time or their performance over time in specific areas. So where are you? You get a number. This is now on your practice. Where are you? And I'm not looking at it, the screen. So it's what is your organic score? I bet it's good.
What is my organic score?
Under your practice.
Where do I see that? What is my organic score?
So scroll down.
Yeah.
Okay. It will say or click over. This may be, without going through a whole. We could do another.
Yeah.
tutorial.
Just. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I don't see the organic score. But just continue. So it says score breakdown, search, page shorts.
There you go.
Directories.
Okay, what is search? What
14.
Number is search?
Score breakdown.
Okay.
Search is 14, paid search is 5, and directories is 45.
Okay. So you're doing well in Yelp, you're doing well in Yext. I can see some of those things. Content, that's search. So your content, I would expect you to be a lot better in that because you are a content guy. So what that's saying, so you can compare your content score to other people's content score, and you know what that means. You just have to update with the appropriate keywords. That's SEO, basically. And I can see you're slacking a little bit on that, Howard, and you shouldn't, because you have more content than most dentists out there, than practically any. So you should, in all seriousness, you should have 80, 90 on search. And then you're doing some, I can see paid Facebook, I can see what you're doing. But when you put all that together, and I want to make sure we talk about DSOs. So I'm not watching the time.
Well, no, don't worry about time. But well, let's talk about DSOs.
Okay,
because
so
you started the show with that in 2 months, 6,000 American kids are going to walk out of 60 dental schools, and you said the first thing they need to do is realize: do you want to get a job like an Aspen, or do you want to own your own business? And I think a lot of people, have to decide. I think you should like business to go open up a dental office. If you don't have a flair for leadership, marketing, risk-taking, drive, ambition, if you just want the 8 to 5 job, I mean, I would do it, because I see a clear distinction between owner-operators and employees. I mean,
absolutely.
When an owner-operator dentist goes to a seminar and he's got his 3 associates with him, they're on Facebook and Instagram during the whole seminar. They never have a question. They're just, so there's a total different caliber of person that it wants to own their own operation versus not. So if you don't want to be checking your DM score, and you don't want to advertise, and you don't want to figure out all this stuff, and you don't want to have uncomfortable conversation with staff, and you don't want to do all those things, you'd probably make more money and be more happy being an employee. But if you want to, risk equals reward, own your own business. The average general dentist that owns their own business takes home $100,000 a year more than an employee. So if you want to be an owner, you should check your DM score. That's what you're saying.
That's exactly right. And so the startling. So we have a new study coming out. Again, we have all this data, and we're constantly crawling and gathering data through APIs and our own devices and normalizing the data. In a new research report that's coming out, like the last research report, which you can get from our site, DMscore.com, and I would encourage you to look at that, is because, again, it's kind of startling. The new research says that, and we're measuring the effectiveness of a dental practice that's part of a DSO, like Aspen or Western or one of those, at a local level versus the individual practitioner at a local level. And unfortunately, and I can share with you, Howard, a little bit later, the independent operators, they are only 2% of the time, 2%, do they ever appear higher than 30 on a DM score. So as compared to a DSO operated business at a local level. So that's, if you're going to compete in this particular time right now, back to my daughter who's graduating from EOP or PNS, dental school. Some of you might have been a PNS person back then, PNS surgeons. Anyhow, I didn't say the other word. So for the local, if you're going to own your own practice, and we know what those numbers are, now is the time that you can regroup and compete. Now is the time to do that, to understand your score, understand where your score is failing, and then to make adjustments. It's really that easy. It's not that easy to make adjustments. You can do it yourself, or you can have somebody else do it for you.
Now, I know how my homies think. I really do. I mean, I've been a dentist for 32 years. I've had had a media company. I've had a magazine since April of '94, and it's 2020. A lot of people, they're listening to you right now, and I know what they're thinking. They're thinking, he lives in Silicon Valley, man. I'm out here in the middle of Parsons, Kansas. I mean, is digital marketing and everything you're talking about, is that a East Coast, West Coast thing, or is that really something in Omaha, Nebraska?
Absolutely. The larger the town, the more competitors that you have, the more important it is, the more you're competing for business, for sure. If you're in a one-horse town in the middle of Nebraska, not Omaha, but you're in a very small town and there are 2 dentists, well, you probably don't really need to use DMscore because you're really not competing with business. So If you're in that one-horse town, if there are 2,000 people in the town and there are 3 practices, I wouldn't bother. Most of the population, as you know, something like 85% of the dental practices are not in one-horse towns, and this is for you kinds of people that are competing. Or if it's now, it might be time. There are a lot of organizations that are rolling out practices. You still need to build toward the value creation of your practice. So now isn't the time to say, oh, I'm just tired. Now is the time to really understand your business with respect to the metrics of your business, to build that practice, and in a couple of years, get it acquired, if that's your plan, or could be your plan, by a DSO. But it's not the time to just put your tail between your legs and scurry out the door. That's not the right time.
When I talk to companies like you, I always tell them, I said, if this, I know dentists, and if this is like something to help you do a root canal, place an implant, bone grafting, dentists, we do surgery with our hands. We went to school 8 years to use our hands to get people out of pain and all that kind of stuff. They'll love that. But if it is to do with business, I always tell them to talk to the DSOs first. Like Arizona is ground zero for DSOs because we're the only state where if you have a dental license in any other state, it's good here. And all the other states make you jump through all this legal crap, which is just a union restriction of free and fair trade. But anyway, so 18% of Arizona dentists work for a DSO. I always tell people, if this has to do with business, go first the DSOs because they get business in 1 second. Have you approached DSOs, and what do the DSOs think about DMscore?
It's really interesting. We haven't talked, and for your viewers, we haven't talked. We're releasing a product for DSOs right now. And to your question, the DSO product measures all of their respective practices within their DSO, 1,000, or, by a DMscore, so that the DSO can not only look at their practices by all of those dimensions that we show that you've seen, organic search, paid search, directories, and website presence, those kind of things. The DSO can look at their map of the United States or Arizona or California or the Bay Area or America, wherever you're, New York City, wherever you're located, see all of the scores of the local practices, and then see the scores of not only your DSO, but how your local practice that's part of your DSO competes with the local dentists that are not part of the DSO. So that's a product that's coming out in the next 45 days. And yes, I've talked to DSOs. Yes, I've talked to the DSO ecosystem of lawyers, bankers, accountants, and they think this would be a really meaningful product for the DSOs. As you guys know, there are about 20 DSOs that are larger than 200 or so practices. So this is a product that is going to work well for the very largest DSOs and work well for the mid-sized DSO practice. I did a podcast with the law firm in Dallas. I keep forgetting the name of the firm. Anyhow, and their definition of a DSO of a medium DSO is between 20 offices and 200 offices. Large is 200 and above, and then multi-practice is 5 to 20 or something like that. So this is a product I think that'll work pretty well for those guys, but we haven't rolled it out yet.
And
to answer your question.
So right now, how much is your product to roll out?
Well, it's free for a dentist. I mean, they can go use it like for free. Just use it. We're integrated with Solution Reach. We will be integrated with two additional practice management systems. So
what are those systems?
We haven't released. We should be announcing who they are.
Well, the biggest one is Dentrix, and then that's owned by Shine. Then there's EagleSoft, which is owned by Patterson and Effingham. But the fastest growing is Open Dental out of Oregon. That's
right.
the fastest growing. In fact, they're the only ones that do not advertise. I know I own a dental media company. I own a magazine. Open Dental doesn't pay money. And in fact, I want you to go through that because some of these dentists, that they read all about root canals, and when you're throwing around words like score breakdown, search, paid search, and directories. And when you say search or paid search or directories, can you explain to a dentist what that means?
Yes, I can, but let me back up for 1/2 second. So a practice management system, and I don't know the answer is, of all of the practices out there, what % do you think use a practice, Legwork, Solution Reach, Open Dental, one of these, one of Shine's products, what % use them?
Well, you mean, for a practice management computer system, I would think it's 85%.
Okay, a very large percent.
Yeah, they all do. And since Henry Schein is the monster that it is, it's Dentrix out of Provo is the number one. In fact, now Henry Schein has started their Henry Schein 1, where they're going to have Dentrix be the core product.
Right.
And they've been buying mergers and acquisitions with all these things. And then Patterson, I don't know. It's hard. My buddy, Pete Frechette, ran that thing forever. And my sister's nunnery is in Lake Elmo. So I used to always fly and talk to Pete for 4 hours and 1 minute to make it an IRS tax bill, then go spend the rest of the day with my oldest sister. And since he passed away, I really can't make heads or tails of what Patterson's doing. In fact, their new CEO didn't even come from dentistry. And I thought, holy moly.
Well, so let's go back to Schein for a second. Then I'll answer your other question. One of my company was ultimately acquired by Adobe. And so it's Adobe Analytics, but Adobe they bought my company for we merged with Omniture. It's a Utah company. And so we went public, we merged with Omniture, got acquired for $2.8 billion. And what Adobe did is they pieced all these things together, and Schein has done the same thing with, at least 6, 8 digital companies with Schein 1. And they've got the right idea over the long run to make these things work seamlessly. Over the last year or two, it's been, I would say, a bit of a bumpy road for them. And Patterson, I agree with you. I'm not sure what they're doing, but we are Solution Reach has a new product. We're a partner of Solution Reach. We're integrated with Solution Reach. And they have 17,000 practices where they exist. So you can go to their site, solutionreach.com. We have a couple other.
Does Henry Schein own Solution Reach?
No. Solution Reach is owned by a private equity company, Summit Partners, and they're privately held. They're doing well. They just brought out their new product, and ultimately we're going to integrate our data with their data. But they're an awfully big company. I'm liking a lot some of these smaller companies that you started ticking off. There's a great company out there, Dental Intelligence, that's doing some really interesting thing, or a Utah-based company. So the old guys like Schein, they're going to do well in the long run. In the short run, we call it fast fail in the Silicon Valley. Throw it against the wall, see if it sticks. You got to be agile, up or out. And by the way, back to your 25-year-old dentist, my child, that person, my daughter, she needs to be agile too. She needs to be able to, she's a digital native, by the way. So she's going to adopt these new digital things a lot better, a lot faster than anybody else. So we're seeing that the new data is brand new data. I've got it. I'll be releasing it. The practices that are held by women are more aggressive. So as a media guy, now putting your other hat on as media guy, women-owned practices are more aggressive, dental practices, and younger-owned practices are more aggressive. So it's the old guard that's like my grandfather, that's turning over. So if you're older, if you're younger, gender neutral, but if you're younger, you're digital. You've grown up with this stuff. You do it. You understand it. You don't have to learn it. So go to DMscore.com and you'll get it completely. Unlike Howard there, who's
Well, I'm going to go back to Henry Schein 1.
Okay,
So Henry
sure.
Schein's the world's largest dental practice management software company, founded in 2018. Henry Schein 1 launched a new era. But anyway, they've been buying everything.
Yep.
And they bought Internet Brands, which is
Yes.
so right now they're headquartered.
No, they merged with Internet Brands. So Internet Brands owns WebMD and owns some directories.
Oh, okay, because that's where we're going. So Henry Schein owns Dentrix, Dentrix Ascend, Dentrix Enterprise, Easy Dental, Tech Central, as well as international companies, including Software Excellence, Logicel, Julie, Infomed, Xan, LabNet. Also included in Henry Schein 1 are the dental business of Internet Brands, including Demand for Sesame Communications, Office Site, Dental Plans, and more. Henry Schein 1 integrated 13 companies, 40-plus software brands, and employs 1,500 people. So that's where I was getting confused on the solution reach. But yeah, so you plan on merging this with Henry Ford or working with Henry Schein 1 on this?
Yes, absolutely. So
is it your exit strategy or just a partner?
So no, it's not our exit strategy. So we have a product. Our product appeals to all white collar professionals, veterinarians, lawyers, optometrists, and those professionals, because they have similar problems. And the biggest problem is these people, none of them have really focused on their business. They're white collar professionals, and they haven't focused on their business because their time is too valuable to them. So what this is for us, there's the ma and pa at a hardware store, they use Google Analytics, and their time is not so valuable, not like a dentist or a lawyer or a doctor or a veterinarian. So the dentists, in this case, they've been falling through the cracks. They have not, because their time is too valuable, been optimizing their businesses and their digital marketing. The low end does it, the high end does it through the DSOs for sure on dentistry. But so there's an opportunity for us there. We are focusing, this is our first big market, dental, and it's a great market. And I was, as you've read in my introduction, I was involved in web analytics in, 1997. So it reminds me of the same time from 1997 where we were bringing it to to media to magazines, and we were saying, hey, are you measuring and optimizing your web presence? And to agencies at the time, and all of the above said, no, why do we have to do that? We don't need to do that. I don't want to do that. And we know the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey says at this point about those guys. The same is happening in dental for white collar professional practices. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does. How are you going to make money off general dentists if they do it for free, but you're rolling out a product for DSOs? I mean, so how does your business model, how does that work?
Exactly right. A good question. So it's a click-through based model. So we, again, like Zillow, or go back to HomeLight, or we're a marketplace. So the people who are offering services to the dentists, when the dentist says, hey, I've identified a problem, it's blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I want to fix it, and or talk to somebody who can fix it. So we make our money by connecting the two together. We're the only company out there that offers an objective score, because we have a score. We don't make money on the score. So for you, Howard, you understand it. It's a click through to us. So the click through, the agency who can't fix it will pay us standard click-through rate for that.
Nice. My gosh.
You get both sides of that.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here. It's 3:30 in Arizona on March 23rd, and the Dow dropped another 3 points. My gosh, Line Technologies down another 5%. Smiles Direct Clubs, I mean, it's down to $4 a share, and even Henry Schein continues to fall. Just strange times. So, one of the things. But
where there are challenges, there are opportunities.
Oh, absolutely.
And okay, I know you. I know
absolutely, absolutely. But one of the things that when I'm talking to you, and when you're listening to this guy talk, you should realize that that's how you sound to a patient. I mean, when we're out there trying to find someone to build our website or do SEO, and, you know, they come by my dental office and they start talking about, oh, you need to build a funnel and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And it's kind of like some dentist saying, well, you know, you have an interproximal cavity on number 3 and you're going to have irreversible pulpitis. And if we don't do endodontic therapy, you're, you know, I mean, and so there's, I mean, you know, when I buy a Coke or a M&M's, I know what I'm buying. I know what a gallon of gas is. It's never an issue since I bought my first car at 16. But when my dentists are out there going to buy some advertising service, I mean, they don't know you from Adam and you speak Greek. How's a dentist who really, his core competency or her core competency is math, applied math is physics, applied physics is chemistry, applied chemistry is biology, and applied biology is dentistry on Sapiens.
Exactly.
How am I supposed to make sense of anything you're saying, and how do I know if this is a good information, if this is something the dentist should do? You know, it's almost like, you know, it's blind faith trust.
Well, so that is a good question. And so you look at the background of the executives in the company who include some of the chief analytic officers of FICO, the FICO score, myself, analytics. I founded the industry. I'm founded the association, for which there are 5,000 members, business members. So we have a neutral score. And that neutral score, you can measure things like your FICO score. You can measure things against that score. So somebody walks in, an agency walks in and says, oh, I can do this or that or the next thing. You'll say, okay, my DM score is blah, blah. It's, 52. Great. Let's give you a couple months. Let's see how you impact the score. That's the beauty of the score.
Because if you can't measure it, you can't manage it.
Exactly. And so this is a independent yardstick to measure all of these people out there, and the people, the agencies, and the people that we will recommend to you. We have already looked at the scores of their success, shall we say? So we're not gonna recommend, a small agency. Well, they certainly could be small, but for an agency that has no impact on their client scores, they're not going to get recommended to you. Now, they don't pay for recommendations from us. We're a neutral arbiter for everything, and our business model is to be between everything. So we have a very senior staff. We're well funded. And our model is to create the DM score for white collar professionals, for which dentistry is our first one.
Now, I'm just so honored to be able to have your first coronavirus cough on the Dentistry Uncensored show. People will say, "Do you remember he coughed first on the Dentistry?" So who's
by the way, I was screaming. I was really passionate, and it was maxing out my my vocal cords.
What DSO it seems to be the most interested? Which DSO is listening to you the most and you're most optimistic about?
There's been a lot of movement in DSO management, as you know, and so I think I need to remain pretty confidential on that one right now. But there's no reason. The DSO model is going to be is a different model. So it's like, we'll give you that.
But you come from a long line of Wall Street and companies going public and all this stuff. So I want to ask you. I want to get to a totally different subject. When the market's expanding and the Fed has money almost at zero cost and there's money flying around, everything's growing. Well, it's completely different when it's contracting, and now cash is king, and everybody knows that a lot of these private equities and a lot of these were over leveraged, and so when everything's expanding and you're not cash flowing, people throw money at you if they buy into your dream. And now that the dream is temporarily reversed and the Dow Jones is plummeting, and it's hard to get an overnight loan, let alone a bridge loan, let alone go to more money. Do you think a lot of these DSOs are over leveraged and going to be in trouble?
I didn't see that one coming. That's a good. I like their business model is based on leverage and efficiency, and I think if they are very considerate about how they leverage the back office and the front office things, I think that they're not going to be over leveraged. They look at the acquisition of a business, of a dental practice. You know the metrics they use is more than I do. They look at how many chairs you have, the profitability of the chairs, the location, the growth. There's a growth multiple they put by that. So going back to some of my earlier comments, even if you're a private practice person and you want to get acquired ultimately by a DSO, you're going to have to put some business work into getting your numbers, getting your multiples in the right place. So to answer your question specifically, Howard, some of the so there are older DSOs and there are more traditional DSOs, and there are more startup-based agile DSOs. The DSOs that are more traditional, that are just bookkeeping services and super back office kind of things, that's an arms and a legs kind of deal. The DSOs that are looking out beyond the horizon, that are looking at optimizing their marketing buy, that have a large marketing staff and that are heads up on the marketing staff, those are the ones that you're going to want to go to. And those are the ones that are involved in digital and that are going to be good buys or good, we're Wall Street words here, that are going to have appropriate value for their shareholders.
In the last month, the stock market's gone from 28,000 to 18,000. So basically, it's gone back 5 years. I mean, it's back from 2020 to 2015. But to go back to the end of Lehman's day, back to 2009, you'd have to go from 18,000 all the way down to 7,000. Do you think we're in a free fall all the way back to Lehman's day, 2000 or February 2009?
No, hell no. But a strong hell no. This is a healthcare crisis. This isn't a financial crisis. Back there, to your point, we were over leveraged. There was a bubble, and I was part of the bubble out here on the West Coast, and I saw that happening. People were buying homes, highly leveraged. We had the local, person down the street was able to buy 3 homes with no money down. I mean, that's not happening in any sense of the way. So the banking system, there's a lot of liquidity out there. I think that the government has learned about reacting agilely. Just keep pumping money into the system. I think they're doing that right now. I'm not a financial guy. I have had some experience in the tech financial world, but I think we're, like I said 45 minutes ago or so, I think I'm a data-driven person, and that we're going to have, when these tests roll out and we start seeing the numbers, we're going to be able to at least extrapolate the trend. You know what they say, what point is a point, 2 points is a line, and 3 points is a trend. I think we're going to be able to trend. And again, where there's challenge, there's opportunity. And I think for your listeners, there is going to be opportunity for the younger dentists, or the agile dentists, the non-risk adverse dentists that want to build a practice. Now is going to be the time to either build their private practice or grow their practice such that they can be acquired for a higher multiple by a DSO. Okay,
very, very good. So are there Gosh, I can't believe we've been talking to this for an hour. What is there anything else that you wanted to talk about that you thought I would ask about, or?
No, we've never talked this long. You being a dentist and also a media guy or savvy to media, I mean, I'm surprised and not surprised about dentists. I'm not surprised because you guys are all my grandfathers were dentists. Well, three of four were dentists, and I grew up in San Francisco in a dental family. And I grew up with the little teeth, the little molds around the house and this, that, and actually. And they went into dentistry because they were, I'll just use the word artistes on one side. They were really proud of their art, and they all built model airplanes and things like that. But they were businessmen. They wanted to make money. They did well. But what's surprising me and not surprising me, what's surprising me is the lack of focus of dental schools in really teaching the business side of this stuff. It is surprising. It isn't surprising, and I'd really like to see them do more.
Yeah, in
education.
fact, the easiest thing I can predict for the dentist is if their mom stayed home and made cookies and their dad was an employee somewhere. It's challenged. But if their mom and dad own their own business, which 25% of the kids in dental school, their mom or dad owns a dental office. They're the most get it. If their mom and dad owned a farm, a restaurant, if you're sitting at the dinner table, and I've seen this because I've lectured in 50 countries, and I don't care which countries you're in. If you're in a country where everyone's talking about sports like soccer, you're in a third world country.
That's right.
And when you're in a rich country, you're sitting at the same family table, and a 9-year-old girl's hearing dad and mom talk about business. And there's nothing wrong with talking about soccer and music and cooking and all those things like that, but you're not going to get rich with those skills for a country. And
yes.
My gosh, some countries, like you go to South Korea, Japan, Iran, United States, there's so many countries where you go sit at the family table and the dad owns their own dental office, and it's not just the clinical dentistry, but it's the marketing, the advertising, the employees, the HR, leadership. And with humans, I mean, everybody's walking around with the same natural intelligence. I'm really excited about artificial intelligence because our family is Irish, and natural intelligence did not help us a whole lot. So we're really hoping the artificial intelligence can augment our Irish intelligence. But we basically all have the same iPhone, augmented intelligence, and the same sapient brain, and it's what you focus on. So if you're a dentist and you're going home every night and you're watching, the NBA and bowling and baseball and basketball and all this stuff like that, and you don't know your FICA score, you don't know your DMscore, you don't, so my deal is this, you're going to do really well at whatever you focus on. And
so let me tell you why, just to maybe end this interview. It's been a lot of fun. I hope to stay in touch with you, by the way, otherwise. American exceptionalism. So you were just framing it, and your small practice, that table that you were talking about, they're filled with a family of American exceptionalists, and that's what and that's what I think one of the reasons we're a great country, because we have those kinds of people. We have my daughter who's graduating from dental school at 25, and she's digital, and she's not risk adverse like a lot of Europe, like a lot of everywhere else, and she's going to get through this and build the next great practice and have a lot of satisfaction for herself and her family.
Before you go, though, I got to change subjects one time.
Oh, okay.
You didn't talk about the Digital Analytics Association.
Yeah.
Which you were a founder of that, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So let's switch gears. Why did you start the Digital Analytics Association, and what is all that about?
That's a good. So back in '97, when I founded the first company, Keylime Software, that we sold to Yahoo back then, there wasn't any.
You must be a pretty rich man.
I've done okay.
You've done okay.
So, but anyhow,
I'm not wealthy myself, but my ex-wife is doing great. So, there's a lining. So anyway, so why did you start this association?
So, standardization of terms. So we had to, people were using various terms. What is a unique visitor? What is, the analytics is hard. And one of the first things that we had to do is standardize our terms. So we got all of the early, this is 97, 98, 99. We got all the early digital analytics people together, digital companies together, and we all agree to the definition of a unique visitor or a returning visitor or what a session was. This is, this is esoteric stuff, but for that association, for that practice and that skill set to grow, we had to standardize on those terms, and we did. So DMscore, what we've done is we've taken all of that wisdom, we've put it into one score where the white collar professional, in this case dentist, doesn't have to learn all of the standardization of terms and things like that. So the DAA, so you can be certified in the DAA. They're teaching it at UOP. Actually, the DAA, the statistics department at UOP in San Francisco at Degoni School of Dentistry is co-located with the statistics department out of the business school of UOP is in San Francisco, next to in the Degoni School of Business over there. By the way, UOP. Anyhow, I won't go into. I taught at UOP as well.
Oh, so. At the dental school.
In the building, have you seen the brand new building yet?
Yeah, but I love Art Dugoni, and I'm so sorry his wife passed away last year. But but Art makes a Art is your classic guy. I mean, when you're in dentistry, the people who are passionate, have unquestionable ethics and integrity, and work hard and hustle. It's your game to lose in dentistry. I mean, my gosh, it's so easy to do so well. But the people who do well, they're good people. They're smart. They work hard and they hustle. Like right now, they're my friends. What I'm most impressed of with my friends right now is how productive they are on their forced vacation. I mean, they can't see patients in Arizona unless it's an emergency, and the oral surgeons are seeing the emergencies and all that. And so you think, oh, so you're just gonna, so I said, well, when you're staying home for a month, just remember, you should at least put pants on for an hour every day, so you remember.
Right. That's right.
Oh my God, they're taking online courses. They're redoing their SOP, standard operation procedures. One of my friends, he's down there at his dental office. It's closed, but they're just redoing and recleaning, and they're just
so have them right now look up their DMscore.
Yeah, that's why I had you come on the show.
Just internalize it. It's like, do something or don't, but it's like, okay, let's wrap our head around the business. I don't have to see another patient. I don't have to, get another tube of nitrous in here. It's
right.
Except, anyhow.
All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was an honor to podcast you. Stay safe in San Francisco. Do you think Phoenix is going to get as bad as San Fran?
I don't know. I mean, the appropriate answer is I don't know. I think it may. My brother lives there out in Scottsdale, and he's one of the investors in my company. By the way, he owns a series of blow dry bars out there and other things. My feeling is that Phoenix is a little bit, it's more conservative. We're going to do it our way, whereas San Francisco may be a little bit more conforming. And when the mayor says stay off the streets, we may stay off the streets. You guys may say, no, we're not going to stay off the streets. Just a guess.
Yeah. And I agree. America's it's a big country, and The craziest term in the world is United States of America, because nobody would describe Europe as Europe or the EU. I mean, nobody thinks Germany is the same as Italy or France.
Right.
And there's no comparison between San Francisco and Anchorage, Alaska, or Miami and Kansas City.
Right.
So it's a huge continent. It's 331 million people. And I always hear people say, well, Denmark does this. Denmark has less people than Arizona. I mean, it's a continent. Why don't you talk about Europe? You say that England will do everything Romania will do because they're both in Europe.
And Maricopa, in and of itself, is different. There's like 4 different sides of Maricopa County.
Oh, yeah. So it's an incredibly diverse country.
Yes.
You go to Japan, everyone's Japanese. You go to Korea, everyone's Korea.
Yes.
You go to Arizona, you don't know who's who, from where, from what, but
or care.
Yeah, but the thing I don't lose sight on is that, the first signs of civilization was about 5,000 years ago, and that was the pyramids. And the first sign of archaeology, sapien, really was about 50,000 years ago. So 99% of or 108 billion Homo sapiens have lived and died from 50,000 years ago today. And 5,000 years ago is only sign of civilization, and that's only 5,000 of 50,000, that's only 10%. So I'd like to remind everybody that you've survived 50,000 years. You're not going to lose to a damn virus. And
exactly.
My gosh, your herd is at 8 billion. In fact, the biomass of the 8 billion humans is greater than the total weight of all the damn dinosaurs. There's only a dozen animals that can live over 100 years, and humans have made that list along with tortoises. And most of the people that live 100 years have to live real deep in the ocean, so they block out the solar rays. Not my homies. They're doing it standing on the surface. So when you look at the biomass of Homo sapiens, it's between like ants and beetles, and we're not going anywhere. We're the most tenacious animal that's ever found itself on this deal. And yeah, this is going to cause a lot of pain and suffering. This will be our generation's World War II. Yeah. And they didn't did you know that when they woke up to the newspaper that Japan had bombed Pearl Harbor, 98% of Americans did not even know where it was because it was a territory. It was out in the middle of the Pacific. They didn't have maps and things like that. They didn't know they were in for a long ordeal, but they got through that ordeal too. And we will get through this. As my mom always says, my sisters that are nuns, they always say the same thing. This too shall pass. There'll be a day, but this might be our defining moment for our generation. But we're going to do good. When the shit hits the fan, that's when you need to rise and come into action. They say in war, the first casualty of war is the battle plan. Because the minute they hear a gunshot, everybody runs off and scared. So don't be scared. Right. You're going to die anyway. The only thing that could happen is you die a little early. You're still going to die anyway.
That's
so
life is fatal.
Yeah, life is fatal. And the day you were born, you started to die. And so this is the time, though, that I have to tell you that when you get into these types of situations, it's just not the best time to make bad decisions. So, you can make a bad decision when nothing matters. But right now, stay focused, stay with good information, and thank you so much for coming on the show today. It was an honor to podcast you. And we'll put this on Dental Town, and I hope everybody starts checking their DMscore.
Yeah, get it up sooner than later so that people can actually do something about it.
Absolutely. We'll get up as fast as we can. Have a great day.
All right, Howard. Peace. Stay healthy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Ebola
bye-bye.
elbow. All right, have a great day.